Welcome back, folks, to the Get a Grip on Life podcast. On this episode of the show, I have Josh Elledge from Up Your Influence. But for right now, if you want to make some digital media, if you want to create a podcast, go to getagripstudios.com, fully virtual, or you can come in studio here at Victoria Park and Steeles in Toronto, Canada. And I'm about to talk to a guy who can probably make those videos and podcasts explode. How's it going, Josh Elledge?
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem, man. So tell me, a little bit about, the new kind of PR world we're in today. It's almost like we're in a different kind of world.
Yeah, for sure. And I've gotten myself in trouble. So I've spoken on this as social media marketing world. I've spoken on this, for the Tony Robbins organization. I think that, like a lot of other business owners, we have a little frustration with the PR world in that I think that the PR industry has not evolved as quickly as they should, kind of resting on a lot of laurels. It used to be kind of a goose that would go lay the golden eggs, where you could just say, hey, I can introduce you to Susie over at WKMG over there, and all you got to do is pay me $4,000 and I'll make an intro. We don't need to do that today because we got social media. See, all the reporters, all the producers, everybody's on social. So everybody's accessible. And so you don't need to pay for intros anymore. But what you do need to do is focus on authority. And because if you've blazed a trail for authority and, you're reaching out to an influencer, you're reaching out to media, you're reaching out to partners, clients, investors, it doesn't matter. Today, everybody's going to check you out. You could request a 15-minute call with anybody, and before they jump on that call with you, they're going to look you up because that's just what we do. I'm sure that you looked me up, right? And so you're like, well, who's this Josh guy? And so you probably did a Google search on me, maybe looked me up on LinkedIn, maybe looked at my website. And then based on what you saw, you'd be like, all right, we'll give this guy a few minutes, see how he does. So that's the idea, is that we want to make sure that, when the media, you're reaching out to them because you want the visibility. We can talk about the benefit. I mean, there's a lot of benefit to working with influencers and media. But just know that they are going to be very selective. They can't take a risk on bad guests. And so it's our job to show them in advance that you're going to be a really great guest. And if you'll just do that, like, this stuff is not hard. I'm going to tell you everything on this conversation right here of what you need to do. And honestly, like, your chances of getting wherever you want to go just went up astronomically just because you listened to the Get a Grip podcast.
There you go. So let me ask you this. So, when I was first introduced to marketing, publicity, PR, advertising, these type of things, when you're coming to understand it, one of the things people would tell you about public relations is, the first thing you need to do is you need to write a book on it because the expert is the guy who wrote the book on it. I think that's a little out the window now. Would you say that? Would you agree with that? What is it that people need to do today? What is it that they need to do differently?
I don't think that there's any great books on PR today, to be honest with you. And I don't know that it even requires a book. So what it requires, honestly, is pretty common sense. Here's the deal. The internet, so social media has made our connectedness so much easier, but you have to understand that we live in a swipe left, swipe right world. And so what that means is that if your social media profiles, your authority, your website looks like amateur hour, they're just not going to respond back to you. And so, and again, we'll go through this step by step on some things that you'll want to do. And by the way, if you want to come check me out and, like, everything that I'm going to talk about, you don't even have to let me know you were there, but you can search me. You could find me on Google and you can copy what I've done. And you don't even have to pay me a dime for that. Just go see what I do, copy what I do. I promise you it's well optimized. And by the way, the website is upmyinfluence.com, just in case you want to check that out. So the first thing, Scott, is definitely what we want to talk about is your calling card today And that's your profile image. Your profile image is it's generally one of the first things that people are going to look at when they want to say, who's this? Because a lot of our engagement, we're engaging on social, we're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Those are kind of the big four. YouTube, we might have information there as well. And so someone is going to look at your profile image and they're instantly going to make judgments about you based on what's in your social media profile. I mean, it's just the way we do this. And
that's
so
no different than
this
real life,
superficial?
though. That's no different. No,
yeah,
but
absolutely.
Real life is the same thing. I walk up down the street, I meet Josh Elledge, I look at him, he's well dressed, he's not well dressed, his hair is messy, he's out of shape, he's in shape, he's driving a nice car, he's driving a really nice car, whatever, he's driving a crappy car. All these things matter to us instantly. We make decisions right away. So it's no different on the social media side. No different.
Say that one more time.
No different with social media.
No,
people look at it, that's it, they make their decision.
Yes, absolutely. And listen, I to someone who's like, I don't like what he's talking about because it sounds superficial, totally is. But it's just the way that we are. It's just the way that we're wired. Michael, if you and I were to spend time together in person, then we're going to have the immense benefit of that in-person connection. Like, I'll be able to feel your energy. There's just so much more information that somebody could get. But the majority of our communication today is done over the web. And so what we want to do, it's not about being inauthentic. It's not about being fake or phony. It's about lowering the digital barrier and presenting the most authentic view of you possible using social. So what that means is that, let's say that you were going to be on a dating profile. Would you want to have a crappy profile image there or a crappy profile there? You wouldn't. Why? Because you want the best possible outcome for yourself. So it's the same thing when we're doing business. So if you're networking on LinkedIn, and again, you've got just like a photo that you took with your phone, and it's just like you cropped out somebody else out of the photo. It's just not real professional. It's going to be something that's going to be, it's not going to work in your favor. It could be perceived of as a red flag. And here's the deal. You will not attract investors, clients, partners, or anybody that exceed your level of branding. So in other words, if they're used to working with agents, you're an agency owner, and they're used to working with agents because they're a successful business. They're used to working with successful agencies. If you have poor branding, they're not even going to give you the time of day. And so this is how this will look, by the way, Michael, is you'll reach out to them, you'll send them an email, and they'll just ghost you. You'll try to come up with stories in your head about why here's the deal. People are not going to tell you why they don't respond. They just don't.
That's for sure.
And so, so real great. Here's my first real great free resource. You can go to photofeeler.com. So Feeler, Feeler. And what I want you to do is I want you to upload your profile image there, and you can select either social, dating, or business. And then, and then what you do is go vote on other people's photos, because guess what? They're going to vote on yours, and they're going to tell you exactly how you rank in terms of authority, how approachable you seem, and you're going to get some really good, honest feedback. So you're going to have a thick skin because you need to know this information.
You know what? I think a lot of people live in denial, Josh, of these truths that you're saying here. Like, They legitimately do, like, well, I don't need that because I'm just going to be my real self. But I think there's a combination of who you are right now and future you, and who do you want future you to be?
Yeah,
right. You know what I'm saying? And it's like sometimes
I like that.
Sometimes when we're cultivating an image, we're not just saying who we are right now. We're also saying who we're going to be as well, in a sense. So there's a little bit of goal. It's not like you're inauthentic. It's not like you want to present something you're not, but maybe you want to present something that you're striving to be. And we're all on a journey in this thing, So why not try to strive to be that higher level or the next level up? I think it's great advice for people, Josh, even though sometimes they don't want to take it.
Yeah. So one exercise, like when people will say, for example, well, I don't know what to do in my photo, or I don't know what I should have written in my little bio on my social media profile, or in my press kit, or on our website. And what I'll tell them is I say, listen, you need to take an afternoon, and I want you to find the most successful people in your industry. And I want you to take lots of notes. And you don't want to necessarily copy anybody. You want to be authentic to who you are, but you're going to get a lot of ideas. And so I remember when I first started on TV. Now I've been on TV over 700 times now.
Wow.
But I remember when I first started, I would always wear a tie. And because I thought, well, I need to dress up for TV. I want people to respect me. And then I started looking at other experts, who were more successful than I was, and they went with open collar. And I'm like, that I get that. That makes them much more approachable. And so I relaxed. I tossed the tie, went with open collar, and it seems much more authentic to who I am as a brand. And so, on that side, I'm Josh, the savings angel, my other company. And so, I've been on the media over 2,000 times as the savings angel. So I'm kind of this consumer advocate. So a lot of times you'll see me kind of with my sleeves rolled up, open collar, and I'm this consumer guy that's, fighting for your consumer skills, that sort of thing. So, yeah. So it's all part of the branding.
So let me ask you this. When someone's sitting down, like let's say you have a lot of people that listen to this will have an established business, right? But they'll have very poor social media. A lot of those people will be individuals who actually have a lot of breadth and depth of knowledge in a certain topic, but they're not considered the authority. And I'll talk to them, like I'm in the lighting business, and I'll talk to them, and they'll be very powerful when you speak to them, but there's something's holding them back, something's stopping them from becoming an authority. And they look at the other people that are stepping into that vacuum, and they have contempt for them, but they do nothing about it. What is it in us that stops it? What is it in us that you're addressing with people to help them come out of their shells a little bit?
When I first started podcasting about 6 years ago, I was really hesitant to do so. And it was honestly for a couple of years. I said, I really should be podcasting, but I was afraid to do that because it was a new level of vulnerability for me. And I felt like someone was going to call me out and say, get out of here. You're a faker. You can't.
Sure.
It's like,
who are you?
Honestly, I think imposter syndrome has a lot to do with it. We all feel like my wife is a very gifted family therapist, for example. She's really good at what she does. But it's the same thing. She feels like she shows up at work and she feels like she's just faking it. But it's like, it's not a high bar to be an expert in something. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to be an expert in rocket science today. You can be an Uber fan and have a very lay understanding of the topic, but you totally geek out on rocket science and you interview some of the greatest rocket scientists out there. So you're a journalist journalists are not experts at what they talk about, but they love the topic and they are eager to share everything that they've learned with their own audience. And listen, you talk with 20, 30, 40 people in a particular subject, or you read 20, 30, 40 books, more than 99.9% of the population on that topic. So what the world needs is not necessarily more experts, but more teachers. And if you're willing to teach people and you love serving and giving value to people, that's where we're at today. And that's what the world needs. It needs more givers and more teachers.
I think that's a great way to look at it. It's a guy who's done this better than anybody. So someone who's maybe an expert in mixed martial arts, but somehow has created a massive podcast, Joe Rogan, 100 million downloads a month. When you look at Joe Rogan 10 years ago, you said, he's a meathead actor. He fights and he acts in movies or whatever. He's influenced some of the most intelligent people of our time, of our time, not of the mixed martial arts world or whatever, but you're talking the highest intellect people he brings on his show. He's interested in their topic. He discusses it with them, and he introduces them and teaches his audience about why they should listen to this person or read this book. And I think it's a great example because there's a guy whose expertise is in mixed martial arts, but now he's interviewing Bernie Sanders and he's interviewing presidential candidates. And what he's doing is he's probably one of the most powerful people in the world because of his podcast, because he's willing to open himself up and be vulnerable.
Yes. Yeah. So one of the best exercises that I think you could do would be to, get comfortable with video. And if you can get comfortable with just giving value to audiences, doing stuff like stories, for example, where they disappear in 24 hours. That way, if it's really bad, well, it doesn't really matter. It's going to be gone anyway. But if you want to feel really good about yourself, go back and listen to Joe Rogan's first podcast.
Sure.
Go back. I remember, 4-Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss, his podcasts were horrible. They were terrible at the beginning. But you could do that with anybody. Pat Flynn, John Lee Dumas and my work, those two guys, their first podcasts were really lousy. Mine are really bad. Go back. I still have them on YouTube. So if you go on YouTube and search for Savings Angel and go watch my first few TV segments, I look really uncomfortable.
Well, I think
that's okay. Like
I think there's
at it, and you can watch the progression.
Sure.
You can see this with a lot of YouTubers.
Sure.
In fact, go watch their first few, and then go watch them today, and you'll see that their comfort level just goes nothing but nowhere but up.
I like
You just have to do that. You have to get in the trenches, do the thing, and then you'll get better at it. I wish there was a shortcut. I wish you could just read a bunch of books and be an expert in stage presence. That's not how it works.
Yeah, for sure.
People will feel your authentic energy when you get comfortable with the platform much easier.
Totally agree with that. What really makes me curious about upmyinfluence.com is the emphasis on becoming an influencer, becoming an authority. How do the different, we focused all of our attention for my lighting show on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I'm leaning.
Smart.
Yeah, it was great. We'll get a ton of views on little clips we put up, and we share it, and the network's good. But I have this feeling about Instagram that Instagram is really the place to be. I don't understand Instagram though. Can you explain Instagram to me in terms of the difference between how a LinkedIn would work and an Instagram works in the business world?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's kind of the content that you would share. So LinkedIn is definitely going to be much more polished. It's going to be focused on, would you stand up in a room of peers in front of an audience and present this information? So it's generally going to be much more, kind of buttoned up. Instagram, the content on Instagram is the behind the scenes stuff. So say, for example, video on YouTube, you're definitely going to put your polished video, content there. But Instagram, you'd be like, hey guys, I'm just getting ready to cut my new video on YouTube. Before I do, I just want to take you on a tour behind the studio, show you that kind of stuff plays really, really well on Instagram. And, people love the behind the scenes stuff. And it's where you can be much more transparent, much more authentic. I find that, and one good piece of advice that I got in particular that works really well with Instagram is that, people will get attracted to you on any social media platform for your expertise and your success or what you have. They'll initially be attracted to you. It's kind of like this way in dating, right? It's like, oh my gosh, he's really attractive. She's really attractive. So you're instantly like, well, what's going on there? But if it's nothing but this thin veneer of, this surface beauty, then it's like, well, I'm not really connecting with you. And so at some point, and hopefully really quickly on social, you're going to be vulnerable with people. You're going to be authentic with people. So strive to share your imperfections and insecurities and vulnerabilities on a regular basis. Because when you do that, that's where people are going to say, oh, Josh is like me. He's got the same fears, or he's, maybe he talks about a time. You don't necessarily have to share something that is a vulnerability today, but maybe it was something like, listen, one thing you might not know about me is I've been through bankruptcy and it sucks. I feel like a loser as a husband and as a provider, as a father. And so when I share that story, losing 2 houses, like I have failed in business 6 times. I had 6 businesses that went out of business. And let me tell you how that felt emotionally. So when I go through that story, and I try to do this in even like marketing videos, because I want people to know, like, hey, Josh Elledge has never failed in, it's like, that's no way. It's like people are going to like turn and run. It's like, this guy's just a phony. He's fake. So yeah, and that's another thing too. And that might feel, you might feel that might be challenging to do that, but I promise you that the more you do that, the more you'll feel relaxed. And your audience is going to respond. They're going to they really, really will. I know at the beginning, it's like, it's kind of it feels like talking to an empty room. But when you keep doing it time after time, the audience will come, and they're really going to appreciate, your heart when you share that.
Now, as kind of awful as this is going to sound, how would you monetize that?
Monetize your failures and your vulnerabilities.
Yeah, like so, on Instagram though, how would you end up spinning that into revenue? Is it an ad-based thing, or what would you do?
No, I'm not a big, well, listen, eventually you can do Instagram, like you could be an Instagram influencer, like you can build that. I mean, that's something you can legitimately do. We've done some stuff, worked with brands and that sort of thing. Short term though, it's like podcasting, right? It's like, yeah, you can bring out, we've got advertisers that advertise on the Savings Angel show, but it's taken us a long time to build that audience in order to do that. Listen, honestly, the absolute best thing that you can do as a small, medium-sized business owner is use the platform to connect with your audience, build a relationship, build that know, like, and trust, and then maybe use that platform to make connections with people that could really help you in business. So what we do now, here's what we do with Up My Influence. We have a podcast. It's called The Thoughtful Entrepreneur.
Yeah, I listened to
The Thoughtful Entrepreneur. What's that again?
I listened to a couple of them. Yeah, it was good.
And I'll tell you. So here's what we do. I'm a big fan of Bob Burg, the Go-Giver. And that philosophy is that if you want to grow your business, sales and marketing, you have to lead by just giving so much value that people are like, my gosh, I feel like I want to give Josh something back, right? Like it's like you invest in the relationship so you can spend more time together. It's like when you meet anybody and you're like, hey, maybe we should, do whatever. And again, you always, as a business owner, you always have to make sure, I believe, we have an ethical responsibility to give far more value than whatever we're asking in return. So if it's money or, it's, we always want to make sure that we're out giving what we're asking.
Yeah. You want to over deliver.
But that's a great example of how you can use a platform like a podcast. And you can say, would you like to be a guest on my show? Can I highlight your work? Just start giving compliments and testimonials about other people on your social media platform. And that's going to get the attention of brands and other people. They'd be like, and it doesn't cost you anything. And people appreciate when you share, a thumbs up about somebody else. And so just use your social media platform to do nice things for other people. And you keep on doing that. Even if you just went out and you set a goal. You said, for the next 10 days, I'm going to share 3 compliments. I'm going to call people out, 3 people a day, and I'm going to say something nice about them. You do that for 10 days straight. I promise you something good is going to come out of that. I promise you. It's just human nature. Like, we love to reciprocate. Everybody loves to feel good about themselves. And if you can make people feel good about themselves, who knows what it'll lead to. But be a force for good. Make other people look good. And I'm just telling you, it's something good is going to happen.
You know, it's funny that you said that because I like Twitter as a it's like a news feed sort of for me, but
Mhm.
I find that there's a lot of negativity on Twitter. And are you suggesting that you avoid those Twitter, like a lot of people seem to get tricked into these Twitter things, and I watch them go and I'm like, "Oh my God, are you really putting that on the internet?" Like, so avoid that.
My
Have a
Twitter
principle
is
is only say nice things. Don't
yeah.
get into that
Yes.
garbage.
Yeah. My Twitter is nothing but a love fest. And so you could see, we spend a lot of time bragging about our clients,
Sure.
success that we've got for them. I respond to people. I don't respond to negativity. If I do, I respond with love, try to anyway. I've got a team that helps out with this as well,
Sure.
but that's our approach. And very seldom do I spend much time in my news feed. I'm pretty much just engaging with people that are in my tribe.
Right.
Yeah, so I just don't have time for the negativity. I'll consider that to be somebody else's job. As for me, like
Yeah.
I just,
I see
I know
so many
exactly what I need to do.
I see so many people that I follow on Twitter that are extreme geniuses in their fields, and they get into these Twitter battles with nobody over nothing. It's like, what are you arguing with this guy about? Who cares
Yeah.
about that? But yeah, so that kind of scares me a little bit about Twitter. But so let's talk about Facebook. Is Facebook old now?
Mhm.
Is it a good place to be? I mean, tell me a little bit about Facebook.
Well, so one of my favorite strategies for Facebook would be for someone who is baby brand new. Now,
Okay.
let's say you have a couple of hundred friends on Facebook. A really great strategy. Here are my favorite strategies for Facebook. This is primarily for baby brand new business owners. You can get away with doing this. It starts to maybe lose its ROI as you get bigger and bigger because there's other things you might consider. Like I'd move over to LinkedIn for a lot of business stuff, which I absolutely love. But let's say you're like, Josh, I don't have a single client. Here's how you can get started. I want you, and Facebook hates this, but it works. Optimize your personal Facebook profile and talk in terms of the value you bring professionally. So if you're an entrepreneur, what is it that you do? So like you can look at my personal Facebook profile and you'll see I've got information about this is what I do professionally. I turn thoughtful entrepreneurs into media celebrities. You'll see that. So what you want to do is join Facebook groups. Don't you dare spam those groups because that'll get real old real fast. Anytime anyone asks questions about, what's a press kit? How do I build a press kit? How do I do this? How do I reach out to media? How do I connect with influencers? How does this work? How does that work? I am answering questions. Now, again, you're going to get to a point where you're going to get too busy. You won't be able to do this as often. But at the beginning, this is a great way to get your first handful of clients. I believe you can get up to a six-figure position pretty quickly. If you're in a service-based business, you're an agency, that sort of thing. It's super easy to do. You just start helping people, answering questions, and what'll happen is someone's going to hover over your image, and they're going to be like, "Well, who is this Josh Elledge guy?" And they're going to look at my personal profile, and my personal profile is optimized to explain how I could do something nice for them. So I'll have a featured image that talks about, what's your authority score? Take the free quiz. And so then someone will click on that. They'll go to Up My Influence and they'll find out what their authority, it's just, things that I can give them of value.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so, yeah,
I saw that authority score thing. What is that? What is that? I didn't have time. I was going to do it before the show, and I got called into a conference call. So is that a little way to get them engaged in the kind of services you can offer them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I interviewed Ryan Levesque of Ask, and so he's a big fan of this, and I was really inspired. So obviously, one thing you need to do, again, if we're talking in terms of like, if you're asking somebody to give you their email address, that's currency.
Sure.
And you better give something really valuable in exchange. So, ebooks and white papers, I don't know. It's like, I feel like the world is swimming in those. But one thing that seems to work out pretty well is, presenting a quiz. You want to get to know people. And so a great way to do that is that you can present like a very social media friendly quiz. And then you could say, here's your score. If you'd like a customized action plan, which is what I do, then punch in your email address and I'll give you something that's customized to what your score is. So in my case, I would figure out what their authority score is, and then I'm going to give them like one of 3 to 5 different reports based on where their score came in. And I'm going to give them some actionable advice, free resources. I'm going to give them a series of videos, again, if they'll give me their email address. So I think it's an effective way to do lead magnets a little bit better than as opposed to just, download this free white paper.
Yeah,
which, by the way, I got to tell you, is way better than the average person who says, join our free newsletter. If you have that on your website right now, please, you need to fix that today. Like, people don't join newsletters. Your opt-in rate is probably 0.00000%. Yeah, you got to, it's going to take a lot more value to have someone give up their email address today.
Then let me ask you this. So I'm going to make it specific because I'm very interested in that topic. So I actually run a trade association in the lighting business. Okay. My podcast kind of put me into the position of authority to be able to get hired to be able to do this. We have a newsletter. What would you suggest? So what you said on the website, don't ask them to sign up for the newsletter. What should you ask them to sign up for to get the email address? Remind me of that again.
For Savings Angel would be a great example. So, we're pretty much like we share coupons and that sort of thing. So, really right now, we haven't really figured out what we're going to do next. But right now, what seems to be working is that we say, what can you get that you can't get on the website? So with the email, we say, get the newest coupons first before anybody else. And then we'll blast those out via email. So that works out pretty well for us, but you can't just say newsletter. You got to talk about what it is that they're going to get. So a coupon is a really great thing to offer. Just say, or a free trial, get your free coupon code for a 30-day free trial. Those work out really well. But you got to talk in terms of like, what is the magnet? And the more valuable you can make the magnet, the better. Think about it in terms of like, for us, like our perfect client is probably already doing 6 figures in business. They're already making some sales. They're kind of ready to start getting out on more stages, get on TV. They want to really up their profile. So what can I offer them that would be, more valuable? So and then you kind of want to design your magnet around that.
Let me ask you let's kind of take it into another direction, because I kind of wrote down a bunch of principles that I've learned from you today, and I'm going to go through them at the end. But I wanted to ask you about, let's say you up your profile. Let's say you become the person who is not the expert in everything, but maybe the person who's interviewed all the experts and the person that knows all the people in the business, has the biggest Rolodex, has had all those people on his show. They've all been guests on the show or whatever. And now you're up there. Where do you go from there? Like you've already, because for me, I'm so busy doing podcasts now, running this trade association, other things. I've kind of set my businesses up that it was actually I was forced to delegate a lot better, which was nice. I was forced to delegate, so I've delegated those tasks out.
You have to.
Where do you go when you've got the authority?
Yeah. Well, you cash in. So think about this, right? If you knew, imagine this. Imagine I had a magic wand and I said, right now, I am going to increase your industry authority by 10 times. And so, poof, just did it. Now, knowing that you have 10 times the respect in your industry, what would you do with that? What kind of sales would you make? What kind of partnerships could you have if you had 10 times the authority? And so you'd probably be able to reach out to higher and higher influencer, level influencers to partner with them, for example. And so, and here's a secret. The best way to do influencer marketing, you know what I mean by influencer marketing, you partner with them, they're going to promote your product or service to their audience, that sort of thing. The best way to do influencer marketing is to be an influencer yourself. And being an influencer is not just your social proof. That's important, and that's a big component of it. But you also want to show, authority through your associations, authority through your perceived success and or your branding. These things all matter as well. And if you've got the respect walking in that front door, then it's like people are going to say yes to you. You're going to feel like, when Harry Potter drank the lucky juice, whatever that stuff was called, it's like everything just like worked out. It was amazing. And that's how it's going to feel. So Michael, the difference is like a great way to illustrate this is, so I go to a lot of conferences. And so I've gone to conferences where I've been the featured keynote speaker. And then I've also gone to conferences where I'm just another face in the crowd. And it's a completely different experience. Of
course it is, yeah.
When you show up and you're a featured speaker, people are taking selfies with you. They're waiting in line to ask your questions. Other speakers are like, hey, Josh, so tell me about, blah, blah, blah. It's like just opportunity. You get way more opportunities. And when I show up and I have to earn every conversation, I just don't get as much done. It's like, also like if you have a really big, beautiful booth, like people are naturally going to be like, ooh, what do you do? As opposed to, if you're just, again, it's just you wearing just walking around.
Nobody has an obligation to get to know you. You have like 5 seconds maybe with people to get them interested in you. I agree. But so when I started this lighting show 2.5 years ago, and I went from being a small lighting distributor in Toronto to live streaming from the biggest lighting conventions in the world. But I don't know what to do with it. It's like now I have it, and the ability to form partnerships is there, but there's I guess maybe what it is. It's another form of imposter syndrome. It's come upon me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, listen, if you're the Oprah of lighting, what do you want to do? Like, where do you want to go? And so I think a lot of this comes down to what is your mission? What's your purpose? And so my mission or my purpose is to turn those entrepreneurs into media celebrities. And I feel like I've got a moral obligation to do so. And if there are consequences to me not fulfilling my mission, my purpose, business owners are going to go out of business. They are going to lose money. They're going to lose sales. They're not going to be able to help and serve other people if I don't do my job. And so I have to just think bigger and bigger. I remember, I don't know who it was who said this, but I remember watching him speak, and he's basically like, kept on repeating this phrase, you are not thinking big enough. And you need to start making bigger asks, being more audacious in the things that you go for. Maybe it's seeking bigger clients, seeking bigger partnerships, asking for a bigger fee, bigger speaking fees, but whatever it is. Sometimes we don't understand the value of our own platform. So that's important. Now, along with mission purpose is you have values, and that's also going to help define what you should be doing next. So, we've got core values. And, we believe in democratization of influence. And so if I truly am an advocate and I truly believe that I can democratize and I believe that anybody can become an influencer, that's going to help me decide what I should be doing next. And a lot of times it's going to come down to the content I share with my own audience, or, the content I'll share on other platforms, on other stages.
Wow.
But,
Josh,
listen,
go ahead. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. You also have a mandate to earn a lot of money, because that money is a resource, and those resources will allow you to make a bigger impact on the planet.
For sure.
So if you're if you're only making 5 figures right now, you have a moral obligation to make 6 or 7. You truly do, because with those resources, you can make a bigger impact in people's lives. Now, if you're happy, making $70,000 a year, great. I'm not going to convince you otherwise. But if you do want to make a bigger splash in the world and help more people, then you're just going to need, you're going to need more resources in order to do that. Hire more people, build a bigger team. I've had as many as 50 some people on my team with Savings Angel. And, we were able to do a lot of good stuff when you have a big team like that. So it's pretty cool.
So I got 9 takeaways. I want to read them to you, if that's okay.
That's a new record.
All right. Polish your image. Give more value than you charge for. Only say nice things on social media. No spamming. Speak to the value of your offerings rather than ask for a sign up. Consider your work a moral obligation. Always think bigger and bigger and be more audacious, and understand the value of your platform. How's that?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And by the way, I should say on the, social media, it's not inappropriate to take a stance on something. So for example, like I'll commonly call out the PR industry. That's my torches and pitchfork issue, right?
Sure.
And so I feel like I have to, you do want to create an enemy. Now, you don't necessarily need to call out anybody personally.
Sure,
I would not advise against that, but you can say there's a problem here in this industry. We collectively need to fix it. Who's with me?
Yeah. That's beautiful.
So you can make an issue the bad guy, as it were.
Yeah, that's a beautiful. I don't know if that's the last one, but that's beautiful actually. So take a stand on real problems.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing too, if you have a platform, use your platform for good. So with Savings Angel, we have facilitated millions of dollars in giving because our mandate was that hunger, lack, and need in our local communities is actually a very solvable problem. All it takes is everybody just giving a little bit. And Savings Angel, the platform is designed to be able to allow you to do that. So that became our enemy, hunger, lack, and need in our local communities. I blew 25 grand on bad PR. I know a lot of other business owners that have blown a lot of money because they're paying these old school PR firms money because they feel desperate. They want visibility, when in fact, it's really not that hard to do. So it's, so I feel like I have an urgent responsibility to be able to help my fellow business owners not go through the same stuff I did. I blew my 25 grand. I got one good introduction to a reporter, and I got to speak at a lawn and garden show. That was my $25,000. That has become a pain point for me personally to say, I am never, ever going to let that happen to somebody else. And that's why I work with urgency. But more important than that, like what's even more painful is a business owner going out of business. I have to take action. Otherwise, someone is going to suffer. Someone is going to have an argument with their spouse because they're too stressed out about money. That's my urgency.
The focus on the pain, but also when was Up My Influence, did it extend from your learnings in Savings Angel? Like, did you learn a whole bunch of stuff about this and then sit back and say, you know what? This is actually a company all on its own.
Now, think about this. You bring up a good point. What should we be doing? Because I think about this question a lot. So for whatever reason, God, the universe put me in that position. Savings Angel was my 7th business venture. My first 6 failed. The reason they failed is because I didn't get enough visibility. With Savings Angel, I learned that lesson, and I knew more than anything, I needed visibility. Otherwise, I was going to go out of business again. It was a great product, great service. You can have the best product or service in the world. If nobody knows about it, you're not going to be in business for very long. So I didn't have any money for advertising, but I did have desperation. So I just started reaching out to every radio station, TV station, blogger, newspaper, like anybody I could. And I said, listen, I would love to advertise. I don't have the budget, but I could do this and I'd love to bring value. Here's what I'd love to do. And enough of them said yes, that I started getting some visibility. And so I just did it myself. We got in the media over 2,000 times. I was able to generate well more than $6 million in revenue. And I did so spending less than $500 in advertising. That's a pretty good claim to fame. Like I achieved something. And so then I started doing pro bono work in our local startup community because I believe that when you're successful at something, you do have a moral obligation to help other people. I feel like, it's like, listen, rising tide lifts all boats. I think that we all need to give back, find underserved communities, minority communities, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, and so I'd work through Small Business Development Center, veteran-owned business organizations, minority-owned business organizations, women's-owned business, I would reach out and say, listen, this is what I do. Love to do a free workshop, just let me know when you can use me. Happy to be of service. Didn't advertise to those groups at all. But just in the course of teaching for free, people would say, well, can we hire you? And I said, well, I don't know. Maybe, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of how I got started at that. And then, now Up My Influence has become this huge platform. We help make connections to influencers. So for brands that are looking for, they have a partner program or a joint venture launch, they want to launch program and they want to work with other influencers. We do a lot of that work. We can get pretty much every single one of our clients, we get them 5 to 10 media placements every single month. Like we're really good at some things. And that just came out of just listening to what people's needs were and their problems were. And I got to bring up your initial question. How many people have been in the media over 2,000 times and made a lot of money with it and are willing to teach people? And I started doing the math on that. I'm like, there can't be more than, I don't know, maybe a few dozen people on the planet. Sure. I have to do this because if I don't do this, who else will?
And then also bring it to small businesses, bring it to small, medium-sized businesses.
I think that the longer you do this, the more things start to get clear. I had no intention of becoming the coupon guy with Savings Angel. I had no intention of being like the media guy, with Up My Influence, or the influencer guy with Up My Influence. But that's just the way that it worked out.
It sounds like
if I were left to my druthers, I would be a love doctor. That was my first career thing that I wanted to do when I left the Navy. Was that I got to do a year of radio as part of my job, and then I really loved Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, that kind of crap back then. And so I was like, I also Loveline. Dr. Drew and Adam just launched. Actually, I think it was even before Adam was on the show. I was familiar with that, and I was like, man, I want to be a love doctor. That didn't work out, but. But here I am today.
Well, you know what it sounds like? It's interesting. Like you're kind of describing the entrepreneurial adventure in a way.
Yes. Yeah.
And people don't when they ask you, oh, it's so risky to be an entrepreneur, but it's also so exciting in some ways too. It's really exciting. Especially when you start to become an authority on something and people start to look to you and ask questions. And it's, people think that it would actually inflate your ego, but that would destroy you. If a healthy relation to this is really to be like what you're talking about, is to be humble and serve them. And it's interesting that you've discovered that on your journey with your failures and your desires. And then, we wanted to do this, I wanted to do that, but then I ended up starting this other great company and look where I am today. And I think one of the key things is visibility is credibility, is what you're saying in a sense.
Yeah, for sure. And just, really get to know as many people as you possibly can and do good stuff for as many people as you can. People will get to learn what it is that you do. And, once you have, 500,000, 10,000 people that know what you do and you develop a little bit of a reputation for being that thing, you're set for life. You really, really are. That's the goal.
Yeah, sure.
So just, like, again, I'm a big fan of Bob Berg, just go giver, just start doing nice things for people. And where you plant your seeds is not necessarily where you'll grow your harvest, but by planting those seeds, it's inevitable. With the seasons of life, you will get, exactly what you need, by the time it's all said and done. Might take a little while. You might want it to happen a lot faster, but just be patient. I promise you, it's going to work out okay. You're going to get what you want.
Or maybe you're going to get something you didn't know you wanted.
Oh, yeah. No. I won't say maybe. I'm going to say definitely. You're probably wherever you're at in business today, like 5 years from now, that's probably not going to be anything like what you're thinking it's going to be like. And that's okay.
Yeah,
be
okay.
Open to that. Like, I love that. I love that. It's like, studying lucky people. Lucky people are just open to new ideas. They're open to people. They like people. They're open to like learning from other people. And they put themselves in circumstances where they can be around people that can do, around opportunities. And I honestly, I could be doing something completely different in 5 years, and I'm open to that. So it's just put yourself in those circumstances and let it happen.
Can I ask you a personal question? I think we could probably wrap up soon, but there's something that I want to ask you. I interviewed another girl that was sort of specialized in this as a coach, and you're a really high energy guy, super positive, family. You got the Florida open collar look going. It looks really good on you. You have a great smile. Have you ever burned out? Have you ever
listen, every day I'm going to be on a rush because, I'm in my zone of genius right now. It's like teaching, platform, serving, sharing my wisdom and experiences. That fuels me more than anything. So I'm on a high right now, but I am tired every day. And most of the day, I'm tired. One thing that I heard, and this was pretty, I forget who said it, but do it tired. Every entrepreneur, every leader. And so social media, like live streaming, that's a big thing for me. I never want to live stream. But once I start doing it, or I record that story or send that video out on LinkedIn or whatever, I always feel good about it afterwards. And so podcasting, like sometimes I'll be like, oh my gosh, I gotta, it's like, and it's like running. So I used to be a heavy dude. Like I used to be 60 pounds heavier than I am right now. Lost the weight, started running, ran 2 marathons. In fact, I don't think I'll ever run them again, but it was a really good experience because you learn that what you got to do it's the training leading up to it is the hardest part. Actually, running the marathon it happens in 5 hours or whatever, and then it's done. But it's that training leading up to it that really takes the sacrifice. And so what I learned is that you don't have to commit to going out and running 5 miles. You don't have to commit to that. But I do need to wake up and commit to putting on my running clothes and my running shoes. And then I have to commit to just, strapping on my phone or whatever and just going outside. And I don't even think about what's going to happen after that. But I make micro commitments. And so listen, I'm just going to commit to running to the end of the block. And that's all I care about. And then you know what happens? Once I get that first, 300, 300 yards, I'm good. I'm in it then at that point. And so a lot of times, here's what I do to psych myself out. Is like, for example, like I do for a lot of our sales follow-up, I send video emails and video bombs. One thing that I've learned to do is, I'll have my little whiteboard and I'll write their name on here. So I commit to doing that because I don't want to, because it takes energy for me to record these videos. And sometimes I'm like, shoot, I got to do like 15 of these. Like that's a lot of work.
Sure.
And so I commit to doing the whiteboard. Then without even thinking about it, I just hit record. And then I'm kind of like, deer in the headlights, and I have to do it. And so I try not to think about it too much. I just hit record and then I go and I do it.
It's interesting that you talked about like the momentum of keeping promises to yourself in a way. Like sometimes like, people will come to me and they'll say, hey, I'm trying to diet or I'm trying to do this and I have a 3-month plan. And I say to them, why don't you just make it a 1-day plan? Because 3 months is so far away, right? And there's so many things that are going to happen to you in 3 months. Why don't we just say that today you're going to go for a run and you're going to stay on whatever diet it is that you want to stay on just today, or maybe just for lunch, and then reassess. Because like there's a sense in which people sabotage their own personal integrity with themselves by creating mountains that are too hard to climb or something. And when you say, you know what, I'm just committing that tomorrow morning, there's my sneakers. First thing in the morning, I'm going to put those running shoes on. And when you do that, what's the next commitment? Okay, I'm going to go have a glass of water and then I'm going to put my thing on. And it's like there's momentum to keeping deals with yourself.
Yeah.
There's like
Everything
a momentum
is just
to
like
it.
brushing you. It is. Everything is every goal, every big goal that you want. The success is it's about the small activities day after day after day. You've heard this, right? And so everything that you want to do, you got to think about it the same way you think about brushing your teeth. It's just a non-negotiable thing that you do once or twice a day.
Sure.
And so, because there's no consequences. It's a habit. It's developing. It's the habit that will do that. And so, right for me, like I know how I lost my weight is I have to create a calorie deficit. And so, today, one thing I've learned about myself, intermittent fasting works for me. Like it's really easy for me to condense my time. So you'll come up with hacks that'll make it easier. But again, it's day to day. And you give yourself permission. Listen, tomorrow, if I don't want to do it, that's totally cool. But for today, this is what I'm committed to. And I'm going to do it.
The other thing too is like, I tell people that, when I'm talking to them, it's like, if you want to start off on a path like this, book your breaking of that path in advance and don't make it too far into the future. So like if let's say you want to diet and you want to say, because I know a lot of people that, they're trying to lose weight or whatever, and they say, oh, you know what? Oh, but I've been so good. I'm gonna indulge now because the opportunity just came, and then they're off their diet again for another week. Yeah. But it's like book it in advance. Make a date with yourself where you're gonna go do that thing that you want to do. And it's gonna be not gonna be in 3 months. It's gonna be on Thursday. Not in 6 months.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and we get this a lot with like people who approach us and they're like, hey, can you get me connected with Gary Vee or Good Morning America or whatever? And the answer is, yeah, of course we can. Okay. But, it's really just a matter of, are you ready for that? And most people are not.
You got to earn that. You got to earn that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Good Morning America is not going to talk to you until you've already done other national TV.
For sure.
Other national TVs not going to talk to you until you've done major market TV. Major market TV, they're not going to talk to you until you've done mid-market. Mid-mark's not going to work with you until you've done a lot of small market. So you can get there. I mean, other people are there. How did they get it? They just earned their way there. So it's the same thing for it. Again, that's a universal principle for a lot of stuff. You can get that body you want. You just got to earn it.
Yeah.
And it's you just spend the time grinding it out. You'll get there. It's modeling knowledge. Sure. You model somebody else that has done it. You just do the exact same thing that they've done. That's where our platform for Up My Influence came from.
Sure.
All we do is we just provide for people what we did for ourselves, and because we know that it works.
Meteoric rises are unhealthy. Like people that shoot to the top very quickly often crash back down very quickly.
It's true, and it happens so rarely, but especially as Americans, North Americans, I'll say, we love that rags to riches thing, and it's so alluring. And listen, if you wanna make a lot of money, unfortunately, it still works. You can rent some fancy sports cars, you can live a lie, but you can sell the dream, you can sell the fantasy, and you know what? You'll probably make some money because, and I can speak especially for Americans, man, we love that fantasy.
I don't understand. You know how many people I've interviewed, and one of them I had to get rid of. It's so common in America, and to me, it's like, I'm almost completely sick of it if I hear it again, is this,
Yeah.
I was living in my car, high on drugs, and I turned my life around, and now 3 years later, I'm a millionaire. And it's like, so many Americans have that story, but then you scratch a little bit in the surface, and it turns out that, you were living in your car because all the hotel rooms were sold out in the city that week.
Yeah.
And reason why you were over there was because your mom wanted you to go to graduate school and you didn't want to go. I don't like that. That American myth, I'm a Canadian, is kind of a false hope or myth for people.
Yeah. Listen, and that won't last. Like in the olden days, you could get away with living a lie like that.
Sure.
You cannot do it today. Like it's you can't do it. Like you just gotta trust. People are smart, way smarter than you think they are. I mean, everybody is super intelligent. We've got the internet is gonna give you access to answers about anything you want, including the true nature of someone. Like someone's going to know your background, your history, your story. That information is going to get out. You got to live a little transparent, and you got to just say, listen, it's bumpy, it's rocky. Even today, like I still stress out about stuff like that. Yeah, I've got a nice sports car, but I also have $80,000 in debt. I mean, it's just, you gotta,
Sure.
some things, you don't have to share everything, but I'm just telling you that I'm a believer that it's better to be, err on the side of authenticity. I'll just say it that way.
I just wrote down,
don't
be
worry
authentic.
about building a fantasy, because people will they can absolutely feel when you're not being truthful or honest or authentic with them. You're not going to get away with it.
Yeah.
Like we all have that sixth sense. We were watching it, you see, watching someone on TV and you're like, yeah, like watching reality TV, for example, like, man, there's something I don't like about that guy. What is it? I don't know, but I know that there's something. Like we all can feel that. So,
Sure.
yeah.
I think you got to go authenticity over charisma every time, man.
Yeah. Right. So I know we are way over time.
Yeah.
Because I definitely got to go. Take a class in improv.
Sure. Yeah.
And I did it for a year, and it was one of the best years. It was in terms of my personal growth in being comfortable in front of people. Or in a group setting. And the biggest thing that I learned was that I got to quiet that filter where my brain would say, oh, no, don't say that. That's stupid. People are going to think something, that you're an idiot if you say that. Like improv teaches you to quiet that analytical mind and just trust that whatever you say, going to be fine. Sure. And it's weird because when you develop that level of trust, I actually found that, because my brain was able to work more fluidly, and I found that I was able to become a better teacher or more natural in front of a camera or more natural on stage. But yeah, just go find there's meetups in every big city, improv groups, and just seriously commit to it every week for a year, and you will forever be changed in terms of your social skills. It was really helpful for me. And trust me, watch my YouTube, and you'll probably start to see, okay, he's a little weird back here. Start to get a little bit more comfortable around, I think it's about 5-6 years ago.
Hey, Josh Elledge, thanks for being a guest on the Get a Grip on Life podcast, man. You want to throw your website out there?
Thank you so much.
Throw your website out there for the listeners.
Yeah, let's connect. I've got lots of free stuff. It's at upmyinfluence.com. Things like, if you need a press kit, just copy mine. You don't need to contact me. You don't even need to let me know I was there. Just on my LinkedIn profile, go see what I do there and just copy that stuff. Like just do what I do. Not everything is perfect, but we've put a lot of effort and thought into our online branding and what we eat our own lunch. I'll just say it that way. But certainly YouTube, there's lots of free stuff that we do. We just want to make the world a better place.
So after you go to upmyinfluence.com and check out all of Josh Elledge's stuff, and you're done there and you think, gosh, this is so great, and you want to start a podcast, well, then you got to go to getagripstudios.com, folks, because we are experts at starting, helping you create your podcast, distribute it, and or if you want to make some digital video content, some stuff for your business, go to getagripstudios.com. Thank you for listening.